Good afternoon, Walter. I'm sure many of your listeners have taken a stroll past Queen's University in Belfast and past the Whitla Hall. Some may indeed have been inside this building, graduating there, or as visitors. Others may know the Whitla Hall in Methodist College. The man whose name these buildings bear is the subject of my talk today. Who was he? William Whitla was born in Monaghan, the son of Robert Whitla, in 1851. He attended the model school in Monaghan and afterwards trained as a pharmacist in his brother's chemist shop in that town. William passed the examination in pharmacy conducted by the Apothecaries' Hall in Dublin and went to work subsequently in Belfast in Wheeler and Whitaker's. In 1870 he enrolled in the Faculty of Medicine at the Old Queen's College and graduated in 1873, after obtaining a third-year scholarship in 1872. During 1873-4, he was house surgeon at the Belfast General Hospital, and in 1877 took the degree of M.D. with first-class honours and with gold medal and special commendation. He also qualified as a licentiate of the Royal College of Physicians and Surgeons, Edinburgh, in his very early days. Walter, William's route to becoming a doctor via being a pharmacist was a common one in his day. Also, the years of training for a medical career were shorter then than of now. William, in 1876, married Miss Ada Bourne, daughter of Mr. George Bourne of the Drakenage, Staffordshire. She had trained as a nurse in St. Thomas's Hospital, London, having been persuaded, it is said, to train for that profession by Florence Nightingale, with whom she remained on terms of personal friendship until that famous nurse's death. In the early days, William carried on a very extensive medical practice in Great Victoria Street in Belfast, where his reputation quickly grew. For many years he combined this aspect of his professional duties with his hospital work. In 1882 he was appointed physician in the Belfast General, or by now Royal Hospital. Subsequently he became a consultant to the Royal Victoria. Other local hospitals to which he gave his services included the Ulster for Women and Children and the Belfast Ophthalmic. In addition to the medical life I've already described, William was also heavily involved in the teaching of medical students through his work at the Old Queen's College and later Queen's University. In 1890 he became Professor of Materia Medica at the college, a post he was to hold until 1919. Materia Medica was the old name for the branch of medical science now known as therapeutics. Indeed, the chair of therapeutics and pharmacology in Queen's nowadays is named after him. The Belfast General Hospital had an interesting history. It was founded in 1817 in Frederick Street in Belfast, and one of the main moving spirits behind its creation was the well-known radical thinker Dr. James MacDonald. Another of the medical names of the past associated with it was Dr. Andrew Malcolm, who wrote a detailed report in 1852 of the sanitary state of Belfast in the wake of the terrible fever which had raged in the town in the 1840s. Dr. James Moore, who was a fine Victorian artist, also worked there as a medical man in his time. Since the days of its foundation, it had never been under the control of the Belfast Corporation. The epidemics of the famine years, however, caused financial strain on its resources, and it was forced to close in 1854. This closure was of a temporary nature, and later, in 1865, generous donations by S.K. Mulholland and John Charters, who were mill owners, enabled additional wings to be built. In 1875, the place received its royal charter and became the Belfast Royal Hospital, and in 1899, by another charter, became the Royal Victoria Hospital. Around about this time, Lady Perry and a committee raised the necessary funds. I've read somewhere that the Perrys donated some £15,000 of their own money, and the hospital was moved to its present site on the Grosvenor Road. It was opened in 1903 by King Edward VII. Its then modern system of ventilation won great admiration. It involved powerful fans, each capable of moving 10 million cubic feet of air per hour and driving that air to every ward. The air was heated by steam pipes. Local firms Davidson and Company, the Sirocco Works, and Harland and Wolff were world leaders in this field and were involved in the installation. From 1875 until his death in 1900, the philanthropist Vere Foster was a member of the Board of Management of the Old Royal, often subscribing generously to its upkeep and participating as a street collector in Belfast's Donegal Place for funds for it, and for the Union Hospital too. The Union Hospital, forerunner of the Belfast City Hospital, was opened in 1845. Recently, Walter, I came across an old newspaper cutting on Whitla's life, and it mentioned the memories of him of a lady who, as a young girl in the 1880s, had remembered him. It seems her father had come to Belfast then and was recommended Whitla in Great Victoria Street as their family doctor. The lady in the article recalled how Whitla gave a lesson to her brother in, of all things, shooting marbles. She said he was perfectly at ease with the boy in this. Whitla and his wife never had children of their own, and the lady said that they very much regretted this fact. The children in her family often teased him and let on they were frightened of him. Apparently it was the custom in those days for better-off families, if serious illness struck a member, to engage the services of a nurse to live in and attend the person at home rather than send them to hospital. In these situations, Dr. Whitla took full charge of the arrangements. He arranged a timetable for the house and inquired was there any help in the kitchen, and how many hours attending the patient could each of the family members do. The health of the official nurse was important to him too. As a rule, Dr. Whitla was very good-humoured. He made his calls on a jaunting car, but also had a coachman for longer journeys. William Whitla received a knighthood in 1902. This, it is said, went down very well with his patients, and especially with the medical students of Queen's College. Sir William was held in awe by his students. Of course, some medical students, certainly many in the past, regarded their professors and consultants as God. Yet in his case, it seems they not only respected him, but had genuine affection for him as well. He respected them and considered them as fellow inquirers and friends in the pursuit of medical knowledge. In the clinical class in the hospital, as they moved with him from bed to bed, they felt he had often a sixth sense, and some compared him to Sherlock Holmes in the way he tracked down clues and symptoms of all sorts of diseases. It was said he could detect abnormalities of the heart in a hospital patient 4 beds away. Whatever of the truth of this, he did instill confidence and trust in his patients too in the hospitals in which he worked. One old patient remarked, "The mere sound of his feet as he ran up the wooden stairs of the Old Royal in Frederick Street, the very sound of his voice gave one hope and reassurance." Sir William was given the honour of being appointed honorary physician in Ireland to King George V. He was elected a senator of the Royal University in 1886 and an examiner of that body in 1889. He was an examiner in several other universities as well, notably Glasgow, Leeds and Cambridge. Despite his busy world of students and patients, Sir William found time to be an author. As early as 1882, he published Elements of Pharmacy, Materia Medica and Therapeutics, which went into 12 editions. There followed in 1891 his Dictionary of Medical Treatment, which was widely sought after and translated into many languages, including Chinese. He also wrote in 2 volumes the Manual of the Practice and Theory of Medicine. But his writings were not confined to medicine, for he brought out his own edition of Sir Isaac Newton's Daniel and the Apocalypse. Sir William was a deeply religious man, which drew him to St. Luke, the earliest patron saint of doctors. He was deeply committed to the practice of religion and was a member of the University Road Methodist Church. One very close personal friend was General Booth, the founder of the Salvation Army. And almost invariably, when he visited Belfast, he stayed as a guest of the Whitlas, and Sir William sometimes presided at the General's meetings. Sir William was a great believer in medical missions throughout the world, and distributed hundreds of copies of his Dictionary of Medical Treatment to that cause. From Great Victoria Street, the Whitlas moved to College Square North, to a house near the top of that street, nowadays facing the Biffy Building. In time, this building became the Medical Institute and was equipped by him. He provided it with a club, a council chamber, and a headquarters. Only after his death was it officially named the Whitla Medical Institute. He characteristically would not allow this in his lifetime. Later still in life he moved to Lennoxvale, off the Malone Road. He had a street in the city called after him, Whitla Street, which contained the old Midland Hotel, where Laurel and Hardy stayed in Belfast. This street ran from York Street to Garmoyle Street. In politics, Sir William was a staunch unionist who in 1918 was elected as the first Member of Parliament at Westminster for Queen's University. He remained in this position until 1922. Earlier, in 1917-1918, he sat as a member of the ill-fated Irish Convention, which tried to find a political solution between nationalists and unionists in solving the Irish question. Later in his life, Sir William became president of the Belfast YMCA in 1922, and this was a role to which he attached great importance. Speaking at the opening of the recreation grounds, he is reported as saying, "Christianity never made a man a milksop." He gave great service and support to this organisation until poor health compelled him otherwise. Lady Whitla was to die at Lennoxvale on the 23rd of April 1932, and he followed her grief-stricken to the grave on the 11th of December 1933. They are buried in the Belfast City Cemetery, in a modest grave just off an out-of-the-way path near the surviving tower of the old chapel there. On the stone are inscriptions in 3 languages. The one in Latin is "In caelo quies," which I translate as "In heaven is rest," and is, I think, a fitting epitaph. Sir William left his house in Lennoxvale to Queen's University, where he was Pro-Chancellor and a member of the Senate. Today it is the home of the Vice-Chancellor of the University. He also left a considerable sum of money to build a general-purpose assembly hall. The foundation stone was laid in 1939. This hall, called the Sir William Whitla Hall, nowadays is in almost daily use and is the focus of much of the cultural life of the university and of Belfast City too. Graduation ceremonies take place there in July and December each year. Sir William left £10,000 to the Methodist College in Belfast to be used to endow a chapel, library or general-purpose hall. It was decided to build a general-purpose hall, and this was opened in December 1935. Its architect was a Mr. Hope from Dublin. Sir William had been a governor of the school for 27 years. Walter, as far as I am aware, there has never been a definitive biography of him. This is a pity, which hopefully will be rectified some day. However, a year or so after his death, his brother Meredith produced In Memoriam. It is a delightful and rare little book and contains tributes to the great man from a number of professional friends and bodies, and extracts from the many obituary notices which were written at the time of his death. The book can be consulted in the Irish section of the Belfast Central Library. The Northern Whig, in an editorial at the time of his death, perhaps best summed him up when it said that his sad demise was relieved by a wealth of gracious memories. It went on to speak of his uniqueness of character, the warmth and reassurance he produced in students and patients alike, and of the signal sense of public spiritedness he felt for the community at large. Sentiments which were echoed by many at the time. The province of Ulster should indeed be proud to have produced such a fine humanitarian, for that he undoubtedly was.
Jim O'Hagan. And now here's another song from The Student Prince, sung this time by Joan Sutherland. the voice of Joan Sutherland. This afternoon, Candace